Hello, little dream walker. Tonight's story is about a path that didn't lead through forests or over hills, but through dreams made of soft silver light, where every step glowed beneath your feet. In a town where lanterns dimmed one by one as bedtime came, a girl named Mira loved to take little walks in her dreams. She didn't run, she didn't fly, she simply walked, slowly and gently. But what made her walks special were the footsteps. Each time she took a step in her dream, a soft moonlit print would appear beneath her. Not heavy or loud, just a quiet shimmer, a glowing oval that faded gently behind her as she moved forward. The ground didn't matter, whether she walked through gardens of pillows, over floating bridges made of yarn, or across lakes that rippled like silver silk. Her footsteps always left a trail of light. One night, Mira noticed something curious. When she looked back, someone else was following her path. Not to chase, not to scare, just to follow. Quietly, comfortably. It was a small boy, maybe a little younger than her, with big eyes and a gentle smile. "I saw your footprints," he said. "They made me feel safe." Mira smiled. "Then walk with me," she said. From that night on, others began to follow too. Sleepy children with blinking eyes and yawns in their voices, all walking together gently on a path lit not by lamps or stars, but by moonlight footsteps made by dreams. No one rushed, no one led, they just walked, slowly, through a dreamscape that welcomed them like a lullaby. And when it was time to rest, the footsteps led each of them back to their own beds, where their blankets waited and pillows good night. Tonight, as you fall asleep, imagine each breath as a step, each heartbeat a soft glow beneath you, and let your dreams show you the way. Good night. Hello again, little dreamer. It's time to slow down now. Let your hands rest, your thoughts drift, and listen to the sounds of nature getting ready for bed. Tonight we visit a meadow, where even the grass knows how to say goodnight. At the edge of a quiet field, where butterflies slept inside flowers and the stars peeked through tall trees, grew a patch of soft green grass. It looked like any other grass, thin, swaying, gentle. But this grass had a secret. Every night, as the sun disappeared behind the hills and the air turned cool and still, the grass began to whisper. Not loudly, not with words, but with tiny, shivery sounds like sighs and soft breezes. If you lay very still in the meadow, you could hear it. "Good night, stone. Good night, tree. Sleep well, dandelion. Rest now, bee." It went on and on, from blade to blade, until the whole meadow glowed with calm. One night, a little girl named Lena came to the field. She had trouble sleeping at home, so she brought a blanket, a pillow, and her stuffed mouse. She laid down in the grass, and for the first time she heard the attentive whispers. The grass tickled her ears softly, saying things like, "Close your eyes, little one. Let the stars carry your dreams." Lena didn't answer. She just smiled, hugged her mouse, and let her eyelids fall. All around her, the meadow breathed slowly. The grass rustled and the earth hummed, and Lena slept deeper than ever before. So tonight, if you open your window and hear a breeze, listen closely. Maybe the grass is whispering to you too, telling you it's okay to rest, and the whole world is winding down with you. Good night, little listener. Hi again, little explorer. Tonight's story is about a path that didn't exist during the day, but appeared only when the world was quiet and dreams began to stir. In a small village surrounded by fields, there was a backyard that seemed ordinary. A swing, a tree, some scattered stones. Nothing special during the day. But when the stars came out, something changed. Between the blades of grass, tiny sparkles would appear. One by one, like crumbs of moonlight, they formed a path. The path was invisible to grown-ups, but children with sleepy eyes and big imaginations could see it. It didn't lead to anywhere scary, just a soft walk under glowing stars, guided by fireflies, whispers of wind, and songs no one remembered learning. One night, a boy named Eli woke up. He tiptoed to the back door, drawn by something gentle. When he stepped outside, he saw the path. It glowed beneath his bare feet, warm and soft, like the earth had saved this trail just for him. He followed it past the tree, through the tall grass, and into a little clearing. There, on a stone shaped like a cloud, sat a cat made of stars. It purred without sound. Eli smiled and sat beside it. No one spoke. They didn't need to. They just watched the night, shared the silence, and let their dreams wander quietly together. When Eli awoke the next morning in his bed, his feet were dusty, and a single glowing leaf lay beside his pillow. Tonight, as you sleep, maybe there's a path waiting for you too. A trail made of stars, leading somewhere soft and safe. Close your eyes and follow it. Hello, sweet dream sailor. Tonight's story is about a very special bed. One that didn't just stay still, but rocked gently like a boat on a quiet sea. In a quiet attic room, under a slanted ceiling and a window full of stars, there lived a small bed made of smooth wood and soft blankets. The bed belonged to a boy named Jonas. It looked ordinary by day, neatly made, pillows fluffed, covers tucked in, but at night, when the stars peeked in and the wind slowed to a hush, the bed would shift just a little. It would sway gently from side to side, like a tiny boat floating on invisible waves. The first time it happened, Jonas thought he was dreaming. He felt the sway, the soft creak of the wooden frame, and the quiet hum of movement. He opened one eye, then the other. The room was still, but his bed was rocking, reassuringly. Not fast, not scary, just slow, like someone was holding it with careful hands. Jonas smiled and pulled the blanket tighter around his shoulders. Each night after that, the bed would rock again, and soon it became their bedtime rhythm. As Jonas closed his eyes, the bed would begin to float, up, up, just a little, carried by calm and quiet. Out the window, the stars would blink slowly. Below, the floor would vanish into a soft sea of dreams. The bed never left the room, but in Jonas's mind, it sailed across dream oceans, past glowing islands made of pillows, under skies where whales sang lullabies, through waters filled with sleepy jellyfish and yawning dolphins. And every time the bed rocked, Jonas drifted deeper, safe and warm, like being held by the sea itself. By morning, the bed rested quietly on the floor again, just as before. But Jonas knew the truth. His bed was more than furniture. It was a boat, a cradle, a dream vessel. And each night, it would wait quietly until he was ready to sail again. Close your eyes now, little traveler. Let your bed rock you softly tonight. Not across the room, but across the stars. Good night. Hello, little listener. Tonight's story is about a tiny cloud, soft and shy, who floated high above the world, but didn't want to rain because it loved watching the dreams below. High up in the sky, far above the rooftops and trees, floated a cloud named Nilo. Nilo was the smallest cloud in the sky, puffy and white, like a scoop of sleepy whipped cream. All the other clouds had jobs. Some made shade, some brought snow, and others, the big gray ones, rumbled with thunder and let the rain fall. But Nilo didn't want to rain, not even a drop. When the wind asked why, Nilo said, "I don't want to wake the dreamers below. I like watching them sleep." Because each night, as the stars came out and the towns grew still, Nilo would float low and gentle, peeking through windows and garden trees. He'd see children curled up under blankets, stuffed animals tucked under arms, eyes fluttering as dreams began to bloom. Sometimes he saw giggles in their sleep, other times soft sighs. Once, a little boy whispered, "Hello, cloud," and Nilo felt his heart grow fluffy with joy. The other clouds didn't understand. "Rain is important," they said. "It helps flowers grow." But Nilo believed dreams help little hearts grow too. So instead of raining, Nilo learned to do something else. He gently drizzled dream mist. Not wet, not cold, just a touch of sparkle in the air to make dreams sweeter. It felt like a kiss from the sky. And soon, the flowers still grew. The dreams grew too. And the other clouds began to smile at Nilo when they passed. They didn't try to change him anymore. because sometimes being soft is the strongest thing you can be. Tonight, if your window feels a little cooler, a little softer, maybe Nilo is floating by, watching over your dream and wishing you good night. Hello, Cozy Toes! Tonight's story is about a special pair of socks, not just warm and fuzzy, but magical, because once you put them on, they carried you straight into dreamland. In the bottom drawer of a little dresser, under folded pajamas and soft shirts, lay a pair of socks. They weren't flashy, not striped or sparkly, just plain blue with tiny white dots near the heels. Dots that glowed faintly in the dark, like little stars. A child named Eli found them one chilly evening when his feet felt extra wiggly and his thoughts just wouldn't slow down. He pulled them on, right foot first, then left. The socks were warm, but not too warm. Tight, but not too tight. Perfect. As soon as Eli lay back in bed and pulled the covers up to his chin, something wonderful happened. The socks began to tingle, just a little, as if to his toes. Then, ever so gently, they started to move. Not loudly, not quickly, but slowly, like footsteps made of clouds. Eli's feet didn't leave the bed, but in his dreams he was walking. With each breath, the socks carried him through glowing meadows of whispering grass, across pebble paths that giggled softly underfoot, and up hills that sparkled with nighttime flowers. The socks knew the way. They never tripped. They never rushed. They simply led him deeper and deeper into dreamland. There he met gentle creatures who wore scarves made of stardust. He danced on pillows that floated like boats. He tiptoed across bridges made of music. And when the night grew still and quiet, the socks slowed, curled, and stopped beneath a dream tree that hummed the softest lullaby. By morning, the socks had stopped glowing. They were just socks again, cozy and still. But Eli smiled because his feet remembered the places they had been. And every night after that, when the stars appeared, he reached for those socks. So tonight, if your feet feel extra wiggly, find your softest pair of socks. Maybe they'll walk you gently into a dream of your very own. Good night. Hello, cuddly dreamer. Tonight's story is about a teddy bear. Not just soft and sweet, but one who had a secret hobby, collecting tiny raindrops filled with wishes. In a quiet bedroom, sitting on a windowsill, lived a small teddy bear named Pip. He wasn't new. His fur was a little worn, his left ear leaned slightly to the side, and one button eye was shinier than the other. But Pip was loved, and Pip had a secret. Whenever it rained, and the world grew quiet, and the soft tapping of droplets filled the air, Pip would reach out one fuzzy paw and catch the raindrops on the windowsill. Not just any drops, wishing drops. Because every time a raindrop fell from the sky, it brought with it a whisper, a tiny floating wish from someone, somewhere. Pip couldn't speak, but he could listen. Some drops whispered things like, "I wish for a warm hug. I wish I could be brave. I hope my dreams are sweet tonight." And Pip, with his little stitched heart, would keep those drops safe. He didn't store them in a jar. He tucked them into the thread of his chest. One by one, they became part of his fluff. The child who owned Pip, Lena, had no idea. She just knew that rainy nights felt cozier when Pip was near. One evening, during a soft drizzle, Lena hugged Pip tightly and whispering, "I wish I could dream about flying." The raindrops on the window shimmered. Pip's heart warmed. That night, Lena dreamed she was soaring through clouds on wings made of cotton candy. And right beside her, Pip, floating too, holding a little umbrella just for fun. By morning, the rain had stopped. Sunlight peeked through the curtains, and Pip, still sitting quietly on the windowsill, smiled with his shiny button eye. He had caught another wish and kept it safe. So tonight, if it rains outside your window, don't be afraid. Maybe your teddy is listening, and maybe your wish is already tucked inside something soft and small. Good night. Hello again, little dreamer. Tonight's story is about a tiny star who didn't rush through the sky because it loved taking the long way home. Far above the clouds, in the soft, dark blanket of the night, lived a small star named Nilo. Every evening, the stars would rise, sparkling and twinkling, racing to their places in the sky. But Nilo, he always arrived last, not because he was late, but because he liked to wander. While the others zoomed straight up, Nilo would glide gently past rooftops, dip near sleepy rivers, and peek into quiet windows. He wasn't in a hurry. He liked to watch the world fall asleep. One night, while floating above a quiet town, Nilo saw a child sitting by a window holding a drawing of a star. The child said and said, "I wish I had a real star for a friend." Nilo paused. He glowed a little brighter, then drifted closer, not too close, just enough to let his light dance on the window glass. The child blinked, a sparkle, then another. It felt like a wave, a quiet wave from the sky. Nilo didn't say a word, but he stayed there, floating gently, letting the child feel noticed. Then, when the child's eyes grew heavy, Nilo twirled slowly and floated upward, finally taking his place in the sky. Not the fastest, not the brightest, but the kindest light in the sky that night. And from that evening on, the child always looked for the one star that arrived just a little late. Tonight, before you fall asleep, look out your window just for a moment. If you see a star that's not in a hurry, maybe it's Nilo taking the long way home just to check on you. Good night, gentle traveler. Hello again, nature dreamer. Tonight's story is about a quiet forest, one that didn't just rest near your window, but gently fell asleep right along with you. Not far from a small cottage at the edge of the world, there was a forest. It wasn't a big forest, not the kind with howling wolves or deep dark caves. It was a sleeping forest. Every evening, as the sun dipped below the hills, the forest began its bedtime routine. Just like you. First, the trees stretched their branches and shook off the last golden light. Their leaves rustled softly. "Good night, sky." Then the animals got ready. The squirrels tucked themselves into tiny holes, tails wrapped around like fluffy blankets. The owls blinked slowly, perching quietly under the moon. Even the insects dimmed their songs to a low, gentle hum. But what made this forest special wasn't just how it slept, it was that it waited for you. Every night, when the little child in the cottage, you, laid your head on the pillow, the forest listened. If your breathing slowed, the river slowed too. If your eyes began to close, the stars peeked out through the treetops. If you whispered a sleepy thought, the wind carried it gently across the moss and stones. And once you were fully asleep, the forest slept too. The trees stood still like statues, the grass stopped swaying, even the moonlight softened as if it didn't want to disturb a single dream. It wasn't lonely. The forest liked sleeping with you because it knew that in the morning, when you woke up and stretched, so would it. You and the forest shared dreams of glowing mushrooms, talking fireflies, and gentle fog that curled like ribbons around sleepy animals. And every night, as long as you lay safe in your bed, the forest curled up beside you like a quiet friend who never needed to speak. Tonight, as you close your eyes, know this. Outside your window, the forest is waiting, and when you fall asleep, it will too. You're never sleeping alone. Good night. Hello, little one. Tonight's story is about a cradle. Not pushed by hands or moved by feet, but gently rocked by the soft night wind. Just enough to carry a child into the deepest, sweetest dreams. In a cottage at the edge of a meadow, where the flowers whispered and the stars blinked low, stood an old wooden cradle by a window. It was simple. No wheels, no buttons, no sound, just curved wood, worn smooth from years of love. The cradle belonged to baby Eli. Each evening, when the sky turned purple and the crickets began their quiet songs, his mother would lay him inside with a soft blanket and a kiss. And then she would open the window. That's when the wind would come. Not a strong wind, not a cold wind, a cradle wind, gentle, warm, and just curious enough to play. It would slip through the window like a sigh, curl beneath the cradle, and begin to rock. Back and forth, back and forth. It made no noise. It didn't hurry. But with every soft push, baby Eli's eyelids would grow heavier. Sometimes the wind carried smells from the meadow, lavender, mint, and soft grass. Other times it whispers stories, not with words, but with rhythm. Stories of floating leaves, sleepy bees, and stars who hummed lullabies. Eli never cried in that cradle, not when the wind was there, and when his breath grew deep, the cradle rocked slower, slower, until it stopped. The wind would lift gently, slip back through the window, and leave the room still and sweet with peace. Each night the same, and every time the dreams came softer, deeper, longer. Tonight, if your window is open and the curtains move just a little, maybe the wind is saying, "It's time to rest, little one. I'll rock you into sleep. Good night."